The standards for leaving Islam are so high. You're expected to know the Quran inside out, to have a PhD in Arabic and Islamic studies, to have spent your whole life searching for the truth, whatever that means, trying to understand Islam to the best of your ability. However, when you convert to Islam, nobody asks you if you know Arabic. Nobody asks you if you studied Arabic grammar, if you read the Quran in its original language, if you studied the seerah of Muhammad. None of that. Here is a conversation I had with my friend Farhan Qureshi on the costs of leaving Islam publicly and the double standards towards accepting it and leaving it.
It's crazy how many ex-Muslims are in the closet, like the all around us. Like I actually made a post on my Facebook saying, yeah, I know a bunch of ex-Muslims were Hafiz, but I was actually surprised that there was quite a few of them. And it started with like 3, and I kept getting private messages. It's like 4 now, 5, 6, 7. I'm like, I actually know more people that memorize the Quran that are ex-Muslim now than I know Muslims that have memorized the Quran. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like I wasn't expecting that. And it like again, it doesn't mean if you memorize the Quran you're a scholar. Again, it shows the commitment though. It shows the commitment, and it shows that you were an integral part of that community, your family, you know. And the cost is just too high for some people to openly leave Islam. One of them is the fear factor. So, you know, I have to thank, you know, Imtiaz, Shams in UK. By the way, I also got your video sent to me by a friend when I first left Islam. Maybe even before I made my own video, he sent me a video, and I won't mention his name because he's in the closet still. But he sent me a video and he said, "Check this guy out." And I was like, "I watched the interview with you," and it was like, "Hey, this is pretty cool. This guy has gone through a similar journey, and I'm glad you reached out to me now, so we're talking." But yeah, it's crazy. Like I think the cost is just way too high for most people to openly leave Islam. You know, in many cases, they're risking the wife. Like I know a couple of men that told me, you know, they're scared the wife will leave them. Not necessarily because of the wife. It could be because of the father-in-law and mother-in-law. They'll just jump in and say, you can't be married to this apostate and you have to divorce him. And even if there's kids involved, there are no kids involved. Some of them, they kind of like the parents-in-law, like one guy I'm thinking of now, his parents, his wife's parents kind of know, because the guy's like kind of questioning them sometimes, but he won't just come out and say like I'm not Muslim, right? And he can't, right? And I know a couple of people as well that work in the Muslim community doing service-based businesses. So they're self-employed, they have their own businesses. Again, I can't say where they are, but they they can't come out because again, like they would be just cut off from the community, right? So there's quite a few reasons why. Because I think we're missing, you know, we're missing a key ingredient, which is tolerance in the Muslim community. And so, you know, people like myself, it comes with a very big expense to come out. And like, what do you gain? Like you everybody cuts you off, everybody kind of disowns you, you know, it's like a very big personal cost. In my case, you know, it's not as bad because my family is liberal. You know, I was careful with my wife in the beginning. I wanted to see how she would react, and I made a video on that, and I explained that in the beginning. I put it as doubts, and then eventually, you know, she was able to see that I was sincere in what I was saying, and I went to talk to the you know, wherever I could find a couple of imams, knowledgeable friends who studied in Medina. One of my friends who teaches at an American university, teaches Islam, you know, at an academic, to whoever I could to try to, you know, find my way back into Islam. I just couldn't. I couldn't find a way to make sense of. I couldn't find a reason to believe in Islam again. I just couldn't believe. And you can't choose belief, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, you can't. Like once you perceive a certain reality, either you're going to be a hypocrite and profess something contrary to what you're perceiving to be true, or you're going to be bold enough to say, you know what, this is what I think, this is what I perceive, and I'm going to be true to what I believe, I perceive to be, you know, authentic when it comes to information. And I think that you did that totally, Abdullah. You know, there's a lot of ex-Muslims out there where you can probably question their narrative about why they left Islam. Was it a good reason, right? They may have had reasons that weren't the best of reasons to leave Islam, but who cares about that too, right? They want to leave Islam, they didn't like it, whatever. You know, maybe they were culturally affected by by a family that happened to be Muslim, and they associated some of the conservative values that were oppressing them with Islam. And maybe that was the fault of a faulty interpretation of Islam according to Muslims, but that doesn't matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is
Because
because
it's true, right?
yeah, they've been through what they've been through, and to some degree, they felt that the religion was limiting them.
Right. And by the way, that's another point. When someone leaves Christianity and becomes Muslim, nobody says, oh, he left Christianity for a bad reason because, or she left Christianity for a bad reason because, hijab liberated her and now she's covering herself. Nobody says she didn't study Christianity enough. It's like when you leave another religion and you become Muslim, the standards are so low. You don't have to even know anything about Islam. You just have to know that, this is Islam. You know a little bit about it and you accept Islam. But it's kind of a unfair standard that when you want to leave Islam, suddenly it's like the bar is up to like you can never reach that bar of actually being Muslim enough to really know Islam to leave it.
100%. I really hope, I'm definitely going to share this video with some of the Muslim scholars that I've been, engaging with, because this is something that they don't seem to understand either, that nobody can genuinely leave Islam. There's some type of confusion, there's delusion, there's something wrong with this person. There has to be what Ali Dawah says, it's all an emotional reason. Let me tell you this, when he converted to Islam, was there no emotional component to why he converted? There's an emotional component to every conversion, to every religion, and to every deconversion. You can't separate emotion. But what you can do is that besides the emotional component to why people switch for whatever reason, is there a logical basis? Is it evidence-based? Is this person leaving Islam because he doesn't want it to be true, or is this person leaving Islam because genuinely he looked at the religion, he looked at the information and said that this is
and
not?
Can I just jump in there?
Definitely.
So here's another thing. Why do you have to have a reason to leave Islam? Why is it that the default position is Islam is true and you need to justify why you should leave it? You know what I'm saying? It's like already the narrative is skewed. It's like when people come to me and they say, well, what are the doubts you had in the Quran? And if I convince you, would you become Muslim again? It's like by default this is true, and let me just fix the little things that you have an issue with, and we'll find a way to make you kind of gloss over those things. Yeah, you have an issue with Prophet Muhammad, what he did here. You have an issue with slavery. Yeah, let's just gloss over that and let's just make some explanation about why they needed to do that and it's okay and this and that, and then after all of it, you're left with this kind of kind of uncomfortable feeling that there's this doubt and this doubt. But let's go back to square one. Why should I believe it in the first place? What's the reason to believe? It's not the problem is all of us are born Muslim. We're born into Muslim families, majority of us, or we converted, some of us, and by default, the position is just assumed that Islam is true, and now you need to poke holes in it. But that's the wrong way of looking at it. And this is something I've learned recently. We shouldn't look at it like that. We should ask, why should I believe in it? Not why should I tell you why I don't believe in it? You tell me why I should believe in it. Let's go back to the basis. Let's go back to the fact that Prophet Muhammad, he came and he said he spoke to God. Okay. If anyone comes to you and tells you they spoke to God, would you believe them? Well, I probably wouldn't, but let's hear some more. Okay, what's the next thing? Yeah, he came up with a book, and he doesn't have any miracles, but he has this book.
Do check out the full discussion linked below. And finally, if you're enjoying this content, please consider supporting me. Monthly support allows me to plan my efforts and gives me a financial base that I can use to spend more time and energy on this project. Currently, I have just around 30 monthly supporters out of the thousands that watch my video. Please help me to increase this number. Thank you for watching. This is Abdullah Samir signing out.